If it looks like something huge, if we get a payment that's not posted in, it's in the current month, which is a possibility because of the holidays, you'll see it in the following month.
I see.
Yes, because we did have some last year on our, cigarette tax, and I think it was the alcohol taxes. If we don't get it in time, it's gonna be on the next month. So, like I said, last year we'd had 0, and then it doubled in the next month in 2022, but, it could have something to do with that. Next month I'll have a little bit better of, and we had, last year we had those, where we were doing the transfers. We don't have transfers this time, so it's just sitting in our general fund. Last year we had the transfers going over into certain departments, so that's, could also be it. I'll look into it a little bit more and have something
Okay.
solid next month.
Sounds good. All right, the police report for November 2023 by Chief Taylor.
This last month, the city of Mangum took 314 calls for service. We completed 22 incident reports. There were several arrests done. I'd like to take a time at this moment just to cover some of the numbers that we had since August 1st when I started. We had 1,232 calls for service since August 1st. 103 incident reports. Charges were filed on 30 of those, and arrests were made on 19 of those. Okay, just so letting you know that we're going to continue to keep busy, and we're not going to slow down. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you for all you do. All right, item 7, discussion and possible action to approve ordinance number 465. Do you want me to read all of that?
Oh, did
Should
you
I?
read it?
Okay.
So this was on a previous agenda, and we tabled it due to, I think you had some concerns. I sent out an email to you and to Mr. Kendall on the changes that you wanted made. I think, I don't know, is that Andrew?
Andrew,
That was, Andrew had some questions. I came in the middle of that. I think he spoke with Dave, maybe Larry. So he wanted us to put it back on the agenda. He needs an answer.
Mhm.
So, we can ask him some questions if so, but if not, Mr. Kendall needs to know what we need to do to this ordinance.
My biggest concern was, and just reading it myself, was how much more it allowed than other local cities.
Like more?
Yeah.
I don't think it allows any more. I think it actually regulates them more than usual. Because a lot of cities, certain cities don't really have a ordinance where they talk about commercial breeding and stuff like that. But this actually reins in some of our ordinance, because like right now, you can have a lot of wild animals, but they're not necessarily, a lot of wild animals aren't prohibited. Like you can actually get exotic animals within city limits in a lot of respects. Like you can get a commercial breeder license and you can have rattlesnakes or any other animal that's native to the state of Oklahoma that's regulated by the Department of Wildlife. So this actually requires the owners to provide a certificate of insurance to show that if somebody was to be injured by that particular animal, then they have to have insurance to cover that. Like right now, there's no insurance requirement. So that means if somebody was milking snakes for venom and one got out and hit some kid, I mean.
There's no liability.
There's liability, but there's no money. Whereas now they have to have a certificate. This would require them to have a certificate of insurance. Also exempt certain, what I call hobby animals, like ball
Hermit
pythons,
crabs.
hermit crabs, things of that nature, which are currently prohibited. So it creates an exemption from that, but everything else would have to be registered with the city, with typically saying, here's my insurance, and so, you know, that way it's
Are you the
protected.
one with the dwarf caiman whatever? then. Is that you?
Well, I'm trying to get it.
That you're trying to get one, okay. And you're wanting to get them to breed them?
No.
Just to
No,
have-
I have a non-commercial breeder's license. I'm not allowed to breed any of the venomous animals or anything like that there.
Just pets, okay.
Well, that's what, this is on Elk City, and Altus was basically the same. No snakes which are poisonous in their natural state may be kept within the corporate limits of Elk City, except under the conditions, and maybe that's it, of a license required to keep such snakes. So you just have to have a license.
Yep.
And proof of insurance.
Because that's how Mangum's read before, is what Elk City has.
And so then, how come we changed it before?
We haven't changed it. He asked to make a change. So I drafted an ordinance that kind of modernized it. Because back then, when a lot of the people adopt the ordinances, a pet was a dog or a cat.
Right.
It didn't include the more exotic animals that are commercially available. But as our ordinance is technically written right now, there's not an animal, other than the cats, there's not an animal so at PetSmart that you can actually own in the city limits of Maine.
So is there any liability if he were to get snakes, or anyone were on the city, if they were to?
No, it's a private ownership, and that's why we're requiring them to purchase the insurance to protect the citizens in the event an accident does occur.
Gotcha.
And then as far as the domestic stuff, the Department of Wildlife are responsible for basically regulating that. Inspect, like for example, you have a commercial or non-commercial breeder's license for domestic wild animals. You would have to, which means within the state of Oklahoma, you have to have your facility inspected once a year, every 12 months, in order to get that license renewed. And you have to provide records and disclosure and stuff like that. So the inspection is done by the Department of Wildlife, then everything else, like for example, liability-wise, would be on the owner to provide a certificate of insurance that says if something happens, then my insurance carrier would cover it, basically.
So the ordinance presented is pretty standard in other cities?
No, like I said, most cities aren't addressing this issue, so this is something that I came up with after reading state and federal laws and then looking at some of the other ordinances. Because Mangum's right now mirrors a lot of what Altus Snow City has. I mean, there's some out of Florida that's more restrictive because of the issues going on in the Everglades with anacondas running amok and other non-native species like monkeys and other exotic snakes that are living in the Everglades. But as far as like any prohibitions, no.
So
So
he,
what-
go ahead.
go ahead.
So he'll have to just bring a copy, like if we approve this, he'll just have to bring a copy to the city of his proof of
Yeah,
insurance.
before we get, because those would have to be licensed. The city would have to have issue a license. So it basically categorizes, guys, is in two different categories, and there's a list. It's not an exhaustive list, but in one, you don't have to have a license. And that would be, ball python, basically PetSmart animals. And then the other ones, you would have to get a license from the city to keep that particular animal.
Well, the state requires a license too for exotics, don't they?
Some license, some, yes. Like if it's title, if the Department of Wildlife has jurisdiction, you have to have that breeder's license.
Okay.
But if it's not a domestic animal within the state of Oklahoma, then they don't regulate that.
Gotcha.
There's some federal regulations as far as it relates to like, endangered species and stuff like that, but and then are some, like for example, zebra mussels and that fish I can't think of the name of that causes, you see the sign like zebra, to avoid infestation of exotic species, so there's some regulations there as well.
So if this is not passed, where are we at that point?
If it's not passed?
Yes.
It's how it's been since we adopted the first ordinance. And Chief Taylor's gonna have to go confiscate those hermit crabs at Dixie's house.
They died. We're good. We don't have any hermit crabs.
You know, the reason I'm asking is I've had, but when it was on the agenda before, I've
Yeah.
had several people that are concerned about it, that have approached me.
Well, I guess
With-
my only argument to that would be is we have the rattlesnake derby here every year, and these people are trapping rattlesnakes and keeping them and housing them all over town and all over the outside of town and bringing them into town. I don't feel like the exotic animals that are gonna be brought in are gonna be much more dangerous than that.
I just think of it as myself, if I were living next to someone that had pythons or whatever,
Yeah, but they're not
any of
venomous.
any of it, I would not be very comfortable with that.
You probably do and just don't know it.
Lord, I hope I don't know it. I just think of it from that aspect, as if I lived next door to a person, how would I feel? And I personally wouldn't like it.
But do you think that's any different than living next door to somebody with a vicious dog?
No, it's not.
And they're all over Mangum. So, I mean, that would be my only, because I feel like that's gonna be our biggest debate. We have dogs that run wild here, we have cats that run wild here, we have wild animals that come in with rabies. We do the rattlesnake derby every year, so if we start fighting every aspect of this to have non-venomous snakes and things like that, I feel like we're just gonna start butting heads with, well, why do we have the rattlesnake derby here then? And that's gonna be a huge, that's where I think it's gonna end up going. I don't see it's any different than that, but that's just my opinion. So I guess we just need to decide.
A lot of the concern that I expressed initially was.
Do you wanna
the word-
step up here? Thank you.
Did I hit anything on this?
No.
I think you're
Okay.
ready.
So a lot of the issues I had initially with the wording on the ordinance, I already have venomous snakes. Like I have 6 of our 7 native venomous species. I have 2 species that are out of Africa that aren't even from here. If any of those were to like get out, those are much deadlier than anything we've got around here, including an alligator, no matter the size. I mean, at least somebody would see a 10-foot alligator. But I already have my non-commercial breeder's license through the state of Oklahoma. I have a wildlife rehabilitator's license through the state of Oklahoma. And then I get a permit renewed yearly already through the city to keep the venomous snakes. Now, the issue with that being, if I'm getting a permit to keep venomous snakes and then another ordinance says no wild animals, how many tame snakes have you seen? I mean, they kind of contradict one another, you know? Because I already have all these. I mean, there's a permit that I get through the city for them. But then on another ordinance, it says no wild animals whatsoever. And like I said, you can keep your hermit crabs, your chickens and all that, which technically aren't even supposed to be in city limits. But it's one of those, how big of an issue do you want to make out of it? You know, we all know somebody in town with chickens or maybe a cow in the yard or goats tied out front. It's not an issue till it becomes an issue, you know? So I was just gonna let you guys know, like I said, I've already got all that stuff. It's already permitted through you, through the state. So the alligator's kind of, I feel like I'm the lower scale of that. Now on paper, an alligator sounds horrible, of course, but the one I'm looking at is a smaller species. It's common in the pet trade because of how small it is. It won't ever get longer than probably 6 feet. Now that's still quite an alligator, but you gotta figure 3 feet of that's probably just tail and then the rest is teeth. But,
I do
Just
like
gonna let
your
y'all-
sales pitch.
right, I was just gonna let you know. I mean, you know, despite not wanting it in town, it's already here and you've already allowed it, so. Now, the insurance thing, I could see, you know, if it gets out and was to bite somebody for whatever reason, I understand that, but like you said, it's no worse than a dog or, and a lot of the stuff I have is already native to Oklahoma, so if it gets out, it's back where it came from. You know, there's not really, I guess, a lot of regulation you can do on a native species. But that's all.
Thank you. Okay, so do we need to call for a vote? Do we have any more questions or? What do we need to do for it?
I mean, if you won't pass it, file motion. If nobody wants to pass it, then you just move on. So you need to call for a motion.
Okay.
I'm gonna make a motion to approve the ordinance number 465.
Second,
A second.
vote. Huckabee.
Yes.
Peterson?
Yes.
Chapman?
No.
All right, so the ordinance passes, correct?
No,
Or
it'll be a
resolution.
tiebreaker because
Tiebreaker.
Castle's not here.
Okay. So I would be the tiebreaker.
Mhm.
Correct.
I'm gonna vote no also. All right, item 8, discussion and possible action to approve resolution 2024-010201, allow an interim city manager and/or interim city clerk to make changes to CD accounts as it pertains to the city policies such as renew, close, and open as they reach maturity.
So, we have to put out bids every time our CDs,
Mature.
yes, and I guess we're having some problems with Great Plains, because we need to be listed on the accounts. I thought we were, but we're not even allowed to send in a letter for a request at this point. We said, I think we turned in the minutes and the paperwork, adding,
Were we adding
Ally
you
and I.
guys?
Mhm. But we tried to, we were going to move the CD from one to the higher interest rate bank, and we couldn't. They didn't allow us to.
What are they needing from us if we've already approved for you guys to be put on the account?
They
And you
said we
gave them
needed
that
a
document?
resolution that states that me and our city clerk can send in bids and
Make
if-
changes or
make
move?
changes or open one up, close one up, because we'd have to close that CD and move it to the other bank. So it's just kind of been confusing. I believe that the bank contacted y'all, or,
Me.
yes, because we were just as confused. We've never had the problem before. I don't know why we're having it now.
This will just clear things up though, where you guys can do business as needed. Okay, so we just need a motion to.
Well, I think we need to table this real quick for now.
Okay.
Because basically, yeah, I just think we need to table this for now.
Okay.
And that's as far as I'm gonna say right now. I think this one, the next one needs to be tabled. Agreed.
Okay. All right, so do we need to do anything to table?
A motion to table.
Okay. You have something, Irma?
Well, we're gonna make a motion to table number 8. We had, well, let's make a motion to table number 8.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to table number 8.
Second.
Vote please.
Huckabee.
Yes.
Peterson.
Yes.
Chapman.
Yes.
Okay. Item 9, discussion with possible action to approve resolution 2024-010202 regarding the ICS savings account with Great Plains Bank authorizing interim city manager and/or interim city clerk to make changes such as open, close, or renew.
Okay, so Mayor, on this, Mr. Kendall, the banker that takes care of our ICS account is waiting for us to call him because he wants to explain. We can table it for next month, but at least he can tell you what this is about. We
Awesome.
just got a phone call about it Thursday, I believe. He sent, some paperwork. So if he can just explain it, we can table it and then bring it back next month and, yeah, we can.
Sounds great.
I'm gonna call him. I think his name is Tom.
Todd.
Todd. Thank you. That would've been weird.
Sir?
Yes, sir. Todd?
Great Plains Bank Treasury, this is Tom. Can I help you?
Yes, sir. This is Irma calling with the city of Mangum, and I
Hi.
have you on, we're right in the middle of our meeting. I have you on to explain, with this ICS account to the board and the mayor.
Okay, sounds great. So you guys have an ICS account with Great Plains Bank, and then you also have some accounts, other accounts that are on the bank's network as well. And over the past few months, we've been working with the IntraFi network to upgrade our systems so that we can let you guys have better access, better visibility to your ICS account. And I don't know if you've given them the handout. But
I did.
basically okay, perfect. Basically, the way it works is we tie those accounts together on the backside. You don't have to do anything, but your ICS account would be tied to your Great Plains bank account. And the way that that is beneficial for you is now that you have those tied together, you can access that ICS account by putting money in or take money out of it simply by setting the balance, target balance on your Great Plains bank account. And so in that example that I gave you, the particular customer set a balance of $250,000 as the target on their Great Plains bank account. And any time their balance went above or below $250,000, it settled and swept back and forth to their ICS account. So that helps you maximize your interest rate that you're getting on that ICS account and knowing that it's fully FDIC insured. And so for that example, I think on page 3 it shows where that particular customer had a $250,000 target balance and they had some transactions. And at the end of the night, they had more than $250,000 in their account. So it swept the difference over to their ICS account. And so at the end of the night, their Great Plains bank balance was $250,000 and everything else was in their ICS account. And then on that fourth and final page, it showed an example of where they had transactions throughout the day and they had less than $250,000 in their account at the end of the day. And when that happened, it swept the difference from their ICS to make their balance on their Great Plains bank account $250,000. So that at the end of every night, that account balance was $250,000 every night. Now, I didn't give you an example of this, but actually those balances, you actually have two options. You have a minimum balance and a maximum balance that we can set. So, for instance, if you wanted to have a minimum balance of $1 and a maximum balance of $250,000, or say more than that, because I know you have more than that in your Great Plains account. Say you put a maximum balance of $1 million. Anytime your balance exceeded $1 million, it swept that difference over to your ICS account. And then you could fluctuate in between that minimum and maximum balance and no transfers happen at all. But if you ever went below $1, it could sweep the difference over from your ICS to cover whatever that transaction would be. So it just gives you a lot of flexibility on how you use that account and make sure that you take full advantage of the higher interest rate that you're getting on your ICS account. And so that's been a feature that our customers have asked for quite some time, and we finally invested in the system to where we can connect those accounts for you together and then let you decide how you want to have that balance, target balance, manage your flow of funds. Does that make sense how that works?
You guys have any questions? Do we have to have a decision on this by a certain time, date?
No, we would like for you to have it whenever you feel comfortable with whatever that decision is, and we can walk through the process with you and kind of help you through that. So you don't have to have that decision tonight, but we really would like to go ahead and get that set for the amount that you want before you need to make another transaction into your ICS account, like put money in or out of that account, because that way it'll go through the automated process and you control how that happens. The long story short, no, there's not a deadline that you have to do it right away, but we probably should do it within the next week or two so that we set it for the amount that you want it to be.
Okay, I think that's did you guys have any other questions or any information? Okay,
Another thing that I might mention too, that's another benefit for you, is right now your balances are on the IntraFi network. When you log into your normal online banking for Great Plains, you don't see those balances. But now that we have these tied together, you will. You will see those balances on your online banking. You'll have a new tab. You'll have a checking, a savings, and a new tab called investments. So it'll be easy for you and your staff to keep up with exactly how much you have every day in that account.
Okay. I will
Okay.
be in contact with you. Thank you for explaining that to us.
Sure. Yeah, so basically your decision would be, like, do you want it to be a single amount where your balance in your Great Plains bank account stays exactly that amount, everything else goes over to your ICS every night? Or do you want to set a minimum balance and a maximum balance and let your Great Plains bank account fluctuate in between those, but if it ever goes above that maximum balance, it takes that excess and puts it over into your ICS, or if it goes below the minimum balance, it brings it back over. So that's where you have a lot of flexibility, and we can work with you on that. You can always change it. If you decide you don't like the way you have it set up and you want to change it later, we can always change that.
Okay, thank you so much for explaining this to us, and I'll be in touch with you.
Sounds good. We'd be glad to answer any questions you have.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks, Irma.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
What kind of account is the ICS account?
It's a savings account.
Is there any cost to that?
No.
Okay, so you recommend that we table this? Okay. Motion to table?
We'll make a motion to table number 9.
Second.
Vote?
Huckabee,
Yes.
Peterson,
Yes.
Chapman.
Yes.
Item 10, discussion of possible action to include an added feature from Tree Ring Workforce Solutions on the employee time clock for HR use only.
So currently, right now, we use Tree Ring, and that's our payroll where we clock in and out every day. Some clock in and out every day. It generates all of our timesheets. What we're asking is, we want to do the face recognition. So when we clock in, it takes a picture of our face. It's not very expensive. I believe it's $600. I believe it's $600 for the actual
Device.
Device. But we're gonna stay in the, what do we pay right now for per employee, like $250, $220? So we pay $2.20 per employee to use the, just the regular number that we have, the generic number that we have. We're asking for the device because it's starting to, we need to upgrade our system, and this is just gonna be more secure as far as who's working, who's not. It's going to help generate our payroll sheets better. So we're asking for the approval of the board to add this feature. It's like I said, it's $600. I think you should have an attachment there. And so we already pay, like I said, we already pay some of this, so it's about $600 more a year. $600 for the equipment, and it's gonna be at $210 more a year. That's for technical support and whatnot.
And this basically just ensures that the person clocking in and out is themselves.
Is
and that they're
themselves.
doing
Right
it,
now,
not
we have a
having to do
number.
Blue sheets and all that
Yes.
nonsense later on.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
It'll probably more than pay for itself by the time.
Yes, and our consultant talked to us about this a couple of years ago and wanted, because right now we go through so many different steps. We clock in, we generate, we get the system, we get the paperwork, we put it in our software, in our Encode software, and then that's how we get payroll done. This is going to simplify payroll and monitor us better, and nobody can clock each other in and out. So it's like I said, it's the face recognition. Right now, we're only asking for one-time clock, so everybody's going to have to come in and clock in and out at City Hall. Dispatch as well. Everybody's got their codes to come in and out of the building. They're just gonna have to stop by City Hall and clock in,
Sounds good.
so.
A motion?
I'll make a motion to approve adding the Tree Ring Workforce Solutions for HR.
Second?
I'll second.
Vote, please.
Huckabee,
Yes.
Peterson,
Yes.
Chapman.
Yes.
Item 11, discussion and possible action to allow Ionics Independent Contractor conduct a site survey following open bid request for IT Network Administrator. Bids will close February 2nd, 2024.
So we all know that we have a bid out for IT we currently have no, agreement right now. The bids, we have it online, we have it in the newspaper, the bids close on the 2nd. I believe we have a meeting the next day, to discuss the bids. I actually have the guys here today to come and talk to you about their services, and to explain why we need to have a, site survey done. And so I invite y'all to come up front.
Thanks. I'm Andy Orgain. This is one of the co-owners, Justin Lowberger. We're with Ionics. Thanks for having us today. When I received this, and I called Ermin, came down and talked to Ermin, we kind of did a quick walk around, just kind of see what you guys had. And normally, what we'll do is, when we talk to someone, there's already some sort of agreement. But with the bid, we really need to come down, sit down at every machine, talk to every person. How many users do you have? How many email addresses do you have? Machines, firewall, all those things that go behind the scenes of a network. And normal, let me tell you a little bit about the towns that we currently help. The town of Sealing, Carter, Butler, Arnett, Tologa, we just signed on Wheeler. We also help the Dewey County Courthouse and Sheriff and the Tologa, that's Dewey County, Ellis County Sheriff and Courthouse as well. What we do is we bring in the firewall, we bring in all the network equipment that you need, the access points. We can provide computers also, and we do that for also 5 schools in the area. What's the other ones? Should have wrote them down. Hospital, that's right. Parkview Hospital and Roger Mills County Hospital in Cheyenne.
Electric co-ops, North Fork Electric.
Yeah, North Fork Electric. But what we need to do is to get an actual bid number for you guys, an accurate number. So we need to come in and do a site survey and do all those things that we talked about. And if we do come down to the site survey, we would, if the bid is approved and you guys decide to go with it, we will waive that fee. But if not, it would take 2 of us to come down here most of the day to go through all of that Erm and I had discussed. And we bring all the network equipment. We can bring computers if that's what we want, or we can support the computers that you have, all the software, Office 365, all those things that you need to run a network in an office.
What is the fee for the survey?
It'll be $1,000 for the site survey. It'll be 2 technicians most of the day going through all that. That we would need access, maybe some admin access, I'm not sure,
Correct.
to some of the back-end stuff to count. Because I think we talked about 11 users, 11 PCs, and I think you had some more email-only users.
Mhm.
That would go with those numbers. We just have to get some in-depth
And
numbers
that was
just
a
to be
rough
accurate.
estimate.
Yeah.
So they need to come in and sit down with our current IT and see everything
Yeah.
that they'll be taking care of for us, but we have to have the approval of the board for them to come in and do the survey. They can't give us a valid quote without knowing what we have here
Right.
Right.
and
Yeah.
what they're gonna be taking care of for us, so.
Any questions?
No?
Thank you, guys.
Okay, you bet.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Got a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the, I guess,
The site survey.
site survey. Thank you.
Second?
Second.
Vote?
Huckabee,
Yes.
Peterson,
Yes.
Chapman.
Yes.
All right, item 12, discussion with possible action in regard to closing a portion of Dahlia Street for public use. Closing a portion of Dahlia Street will not impact any public utilities currently in the public easement.
So,
I don't really see a problem with it. Well, I guess he didn't have anybody want to come talk for him, so I guess I will. He's proposing, what his problem is for, his new home, people are driving in and using his driveway for a turnaround. He wants to put signs there saying private property. I don't see that the signs are gonna stop folks. It may. But he is willing, of course, the trash truck has to go down there. And just turn around, and them trash trucks tear stuff up.
They do.
Yeah, streets mainly, and maybe if they run over stuff. But he is gonna allow them to turn around in his driveway. He just wanted to actually just, pretty much just put up signs that says it's private property, which is actually Dahlia Street. But I don't think that
So
street.
he's wanting to put them actually on the street, not in his driveway? On one on each end,
Well,
but it would be the.
well, actually over at his brother's, Mickey's, over here, and one over here on his. where that blacktop actually
Right.
stops. And he's been, or he wants us to pay for the gravel that has been put out there. That was what he had told me. And since he's not here to speak, yeah, pay for half the gravel or let him close the road.
That's what, he actually called me today too.
Is that what he explained to you, Jay?
Landry had a game, and so he said that he wouldn't be able to be here. He could come
Yeah.
next time if we needed to, but the street ends, and then there's where you used to could drive through there, isn't that way anymore. But they need something for the trash truck. He said he's already brought in 10 loads of
Yes, he's,
gravel, and he's willing to finish it out. He said he would even upkeep it once a year if we would just allow him to put up signs. He's willing to do the signs too.
oh, is he willing to do, okay.
He wants to know if they can close the road.
I just don't know that the signs are gonna stop folks, but.
I mean, there's no through traffic because it's a dead end anyways, like, it's just a cul-de-sac
Yeah, I think there,
anyways.
is there a sign?
There's no cul-de-sac, it just ends.
Well, that's what I'm saying, but it's.
Is there a sign further up in the community that says?
Because they basically, the trash truck goes around, picks up their stuff, and then has to turn around in his driveway to get out,
He
right?
said that it's really, obviously gets muddy whenever it gets wet, some people are.
He's put a lot, I went out there the
roughing
other
it
day, he's
up
put a lot of gravel in out there. The good
Yeah.
crusher run top gravel that will almost turn to concrete.
Yeah.
And they have the trash truck has turned around in Mickey's driveway and busted the manhole cover and.
We just told the trash truck to quit turning around on ours.
Right, have we talked to the trash people?
Yeah.
I'm like, go around the block.
And he, I guess he's talked to him, said, yeah, I'll tell y'all where y'all can drive at pretty much, which would be up kind of towards his barn, further around and turn around and go back up.
He actually sent a video, if y'all wanna see it, if that makes anything easier too, if anybody wants to see what it looks like. as
Showing it.
well, or-
Showing the, but he said, also said something about that Dahlia Street was not even mapped out anymore or something, it'd been kind of, you know anything about that? I don't.
Is Brian's properties, Brian and Cheryl, is it still platted?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
that's,
still
yeah.
platted. It's still platted, okay? At one point, I think the city council basically wanted to vacate the plat. But the problem is the city did it completely wrong. Because all a city can do is they can choose to close a street. They can choose to do it temporarily, or they can do it permanently. But they cannot vacate a plat. Let me rephrase. They can never permanently close it. We cannot permanently close a street. Okay, we can choose not to plat a street, and we can take away public use from a street, but the homeowner's the one that would have to petition a court to permanently close a street.
He did mention that you said that.
Yeah.
If for some wild reason.
So
years
that
from
is what
now-
he's probably gonna have to do, is take
If
it
he wants
to-
it permanently closed, because all we can do is we'd have to provide, this is something y'all wanna do, is we would have to provide so many people notice within so many feet of that road, and notice that we plan on closing the road and not providing it as a public access way. And then we have to do all that, then we have to pass an ordinance saying it's closed. But again, it can't be and we reserve the right to reopen at any time.
That's what he said, he would be willing to,
So,
if it ever did come to the point where it had to be reopened, he would.
so if he wants it to be permanently
Be willing to go
closed,
that route.
only he could permanently, he would have to file a petition with the district court to basically vacate that portion of the plat. All we can do is close it from public use, but it can be reopened at any time.
That's pretty much what he's proposing. I
But his
think.
biggest issue is that they're using his driveway though, right? Not necessarily.
Yeah, his or Mickey's.
Well, the only reason I ask that is because like in Elk City, there's some people that kind of have the same situation. It kind of dead ends, but their driveway is like a half cul-de-sac, like where you can pull through.
Theirs isn't.
Well, I know, but I'm just saying, so they just put up their own signs on each corner saying private property, you're not allowed, don't turn around in my driveway, basically. So that's, I'm like, is it actually the street that has to be dealt with, or is it his driveway that he just doesn't want anybody in?
Well, it's actually, would be Dahlia Street.
Because Dahlia Street turns off of Mesquite and goes this way, and then it ends up going left. But I think where that gravel road is at, it's further south than where Dahlia Street's actually at. Because I think Dahlia Street's supposed to go a little
I
north.
haven't looked at any
So is it something that we need to pull the mapping
I
on
mean,
before we even?
I don't see a problem, because like I said, he said he's even willing to reopen it if sometime way down the future, Dahlia Street needs to be
Because
opened back up.
other people we have to provide
Either that or we're
notice
gonna have to pay for part of the gravel. I'm trying to save us some money, so we don't have to pay for the gravel.
Well, then the other issue is if we have any utilities currently being used that access that, is we'd have to provide notice to any utility holders as well, and franchisees.
So it
Just-
sounds like we just need to look at the mapping, look where everything's at before we really make any type of decision.
Yeah.
To make sure that we are notifying people correctly.
Well, yeah, we gotta make sure we
On
notify
whatever we
all the
do.
right people, because really that's what we gotta do, is we have to take the plat to make sure his driveway does in fact. Because I know, because I think I know we got that gravel road there, but I'm pretty sure when I looked at that plat, it's supposed to actually go further north
Yeah.
and then turn left. But
I
we
think
built
that's
the
gonna be
road
like
there.
Cottonwood or something like that.
Yeah, and then we put that little dirt/gravel road there, because it was basically, well, I think that where our utilities was running, so that we did it as convenience. But then when we rented this back last year, I'm thinking that road was supposed to be further north, I think.
Now, he says they have a lot of looky-loos that come down there, that's
Yeah.
why they're trying to,
What's the alternate route to the hospital from?
That's off of,
That's
off of-
the other road.
Okay.
Yeah, that's just an alley.
Yeah,
yeah.
that's an alley.
Yeah, because that doesn't impact that at all, because that's over there that's that north-south road, but I can't think of the name of it.
So would you suggest that we table this till we can look at mapping and easements to make sure that we go about this the right way?
That way you can, if he wants it permanently closed,
He'll have to do that. in court.
he'll have to file it, and then we can basically file a consent, basically, agreeing that it'll be permanently closed.
Okay.
But if he wants us to, and I'm gonna use parentheses, temporarily close it, we can, but we always reserve the right to reopen it. And we actually ended up reopening that plat whenever the Terrys
We're gonna
was going
build
through
out
their
there.
issues, because we were thinking about potentially redeveloping it. But then, I think Brian Lively bought what the Terrys had, but we've never gone through, so that plat still exists out there. Because we will always reserve the right to reopen anything that we close, we reserve the right to reopen.
Yeah, I think he was willing to go that route, I think, but,
Which that might be a better route, because like it's, that then it's a record and it's forever versus if he, 5 years from now,
I'll let y'all talk to him, I'll let him speak for him, for sure.
Okay.
So that's what I would recommend, is we need to figure out kind of more of exactly, I mean, even if does that driveway go there? I mean, are we gonna have a turnaround? I mean, because that was what was discussed with Jeff Terry, and even back when Brian and Cheryl Lively bought that, was actually putting a roundabout on further to the north. Yeah.
Then you kinda gotta go across a waterway ditch.
Yeah. But it was just talked about, that's as far as it went, as a discussion, but that was,
Okay, so I'll make a motion to table number 12 until we can look at the mapping and stuff and come up with a decision.
Second,
Second.
vote,
Huckabee,
Yes.
Peterson,
Yes.
Chapman,
Yes.
item 13. Discussion in regards to potentially closing a section of North Oklahoma during school hours for student crossing safety issue for open discussion.
Okay, so this is basically, it was brought to my attention, which I had brought it up at the last meeting. I had talked to Travis, I've talked to a couple of the other staff members at the school. Travis was gonna have a meeting with all of his, principals, and then they have a board meeting on the 8th, and he's going to bring this to his board as well, and basically try to come up with a decision. It's just that 4 square right there, where all the schools cross to go to the high school. Basically, what him and I talked about is you've got your 4-way stop right there, and just closing behind each crosswalk just during breakfast and right after lunch, opening it back up. Trying to come up with a way to do that just to avoid accidents, somebody getting hit, because there's just so much traffic, people don't pay attention through there. So basically, we kinda talked to the streets guy, he was willing to help in any way, and so I told Travis I'd just touch base with him when he meets with his board, and when we decide what we wanna do, we can make a motion or whatever we need to do from that point, but they're gonna discuss that and just decide what their board, how their board feels about it.
Anybody
and
have
where
any-
they would want to close
I'm
it
in
at.
favor of it, I think it's,
I can't imagine anybody really not being in favor of it. I think his biggest thing was the manpower to do it, but I know for a fact, at least with the employees I talked to at the early childhood, they were like, we're willing to go out there and do whatever we need to, because they're the ones, in the situation where it was brought to me, was there was 2 teachers, one which has jumped in front of a car twice to keep a kid from getting hit, people not paying attention. And it's just not students, it's adults, it's students, it is complete chaos through there during lunchtime. I don't see why, I mean, it's not gonna block anybody's homes, it's not blocking any parking lots, it's not blocking anything except for that little 4 square, and that just keeps the kids from every direction to go to the cafeteria and back without, so unless somebody runs the barricades, which, I mean, still can happen obviously, but yeah, I told Travis I'll get with him, they meet on the 8th, and I told him if he would like for me to come, or it's Mike Kyle, right? I always say the wrong one.
Mhm.
Steve,
Steve
I
is
still
Steve.
said the wrong one,
Yeah.
Steve, Kyle. If I need to get with him too, we can have him talk to him as well, so.
all right, any other comments? All right, moving on, staff and board remarks, any remarks or inquiries? Any new business?
We actually have a policy, a social media policy that we didn't get until earlier today, in front of you all. And we want to add that to our,
Employee
personal,
handbook.
yes, our employee handbook. It's regarding the social media and how we're using it, what we say on it. And Morris also. If I go. Okay, so. Leave it? Okay.
So can we accept this in new business?
So I'll make a motion to accept the new social media clause to go into the employee handbook.
Second,
I second.
vote?
Huckabee,
Yes.
Peterson,
Yes.
Chapman.
Yes.
All right, any other new business?
Gordon and Chris dealt with, some people in town. Did you remember did you find out who they were? They were doing something with the,
Well, they're doing it for Dobson Fiber. But the name of their company, I done forgot what it's selling for.
we were,
Still need to get a little more info for really, get too involved in it. I guess they're proposing to put up more fiber optics on our poles. Pretty much all over town.
That's what he told me, it's all over town.
So we.
Not on every pole, but it's gonna go all around.
we were trying to figure out the cost.
We need to figure out, we can charge them so much per pole. We used to do that with cable company, and I straight up, it was like $1 a pole or something. Wasn't very much, but it's new stuff. But like I said, I don't know exactly, they didn't call me back today. Don't know exactly how much, where at, when they think they're gonna start. But, and I don't know for sure if we have any kind of permits and stuff like that that's in place for installing fiber optics on our stuff.
We've had some before. In fact, there's still some out there. It's not live, but it's there.
It would just be a contract, wouldn't it, like we have with Cable One or anything else?
They
if
wanted
we
us to
would
take
choose
care of it today, but I think at 4 o'clock.
Yeah, and I tried to, and after I talked to Army, I said, well, find out exactly more details from them so that we can give them our details. And I called them and left a message and never heard anything back from them.
Okay.
Is
Is that the one that was measuring the height and the pole diameter?
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
Well, the first time they came through, I seen them, a little string on the, I guess that's the diameter, but the stick has a little eye on it, and he's taking a picture. Well, what that does, that sends straight to the company's computer, and tells them the height and where they're at, and GPS location.
Oh, yeah, they're wanting a map of the poles.
Well, it looks like they have a pretty good map.
They have a map of where I have for the pole placement and stuff. They was wanting, well, I'm seeing out there of everything, they was wanting, like you said, let's find out exactly what they're proposing to do.
Right. Okay. And we
Well,
just
this
didn't get the
company is just a
information.
survey company.
Yeah, they're just.
They haven't started any kind of work, you know, as far as installation work. I'll try to find out more
Okay.
about that, and I guess in the meantime, we need to try to decide how much we're gonna charge them per pole.
Purple.
Shelley, did you look at anything where, does the cable pay us per pole now? They used to.
You got that contract from Cable One last time, do you remember what it was?
I
Purple,
don't remember
I
off the
wanted
top
to
of
say
my
it was
head.
like $2.
But I can find out. I still have it. Okay, so we can work on that and
Yeah,
have
I
that
need to get on
prepared.
that info on that.
Okay, I'll send you that contract as well with Cable One and see if it has any information in it. All right, any other new business?
That's it.
All right, a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion.
Second? Vote?
Peterson,
Yes.
Huckabee,
Yes. You threw me
Chapman.
off.
Yes.
All right, adjourned. MUA, call the meeting to order with a roll call, please.
Huckabee,
Here.
McCaslin, Manasco,
Yes.
Peterson,
Here.
Chapman.
Here.
All right, we have a quorum, the consent agenda, motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second,
Second.
vote?
Huckabee,
Yes.
Manasco,
Yes.
Peterson,
Yes.
Chapman.
Yes.
All right, at this point, we'll open up to remarks or inquiries about the audience not pertaining to any item on the agenda. Does anybody have any remarks? All right, moving on to item 5, discussion of possible action to approve resolution number 2024-010203, appointing a representative to serve on the election committee of the Oklahoma Municipal Power Authority and removing Larry Miller. The representative should include the city manager and appointed by position title for OMPA.
I have a copy of that for you over there. if you want it.
So someone, yes, we're going to do, they requested that we do it by position and not name because we've done it,
Gotcha.
Okay.
yeah.
So we're just
that's all
gonna
it
remove
is.
Larry and add city manager?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Okay. I'll make a motion to approve the resolution number 2024-0102-03.
Second,
I'll second.
vote please.
Huckabee,
Yes.
Manasco,
Yes.
Peterson,
Yes.
Chapman.
Yes.
Item 6, discussion and possible action to approve invoice number 223009-2 in the amount of $9,747.75 for sanitary sewer main and wastewater treatment plant upgrade with Myers Engineering.
Is this a different invoice than we've already approved?
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. That's the one with the lagoons.
Just the additional survey that had to be done for that grant.
For the lagoons.
Oh,
Yeah,
the
that's-
guy was out there.
Yeah.
Talking about all the stuff,
Yeah.
That's why you
Did
do
we
it.
approve already once them to do it, and now this is the invoice for it?
What
Yep.
I understand.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve invoice number 223009-2.
Second,
Second.
vote.
Huckabee,
Yes.
Manasco,
Yes.
Peterson,
Yes.
Chapman.
Yes.
Item 7, discussion and possible action to review and approve bids provided for GPS devices in city-owned vehicles.
So this is for our vehicles that we have, trucks, whatever our police vehicles, to put GPS in our vehicles so we can know where they're at at all times. I am not going to do, I've talked with, Chris and Gordon. I'm not asking for GPS with the cameras right in everyone's area, but just a tracker to where our vehicles are at all times. Shelley and I think maybe Ally worked on this a little bit. We've got four. We have One Step GPS, Track Your Truck, Verizon, and Third Eye. I'm not a fan of the Third Eye. I just think it's I don't even know what they said in the paperwork. Verizon doesn't have I think Verizon's was the cheaper one. No, actually which one was this one?
The first one, the One Step, I believe, was the cheapest.
Okay, yeah. One Step was it. I don't want anything that you can plug in on your own. I want someone to come down and install it and put them in there correctly. So where we can locate and track our vehicles and see where they're at. And that also helps, in accidents.
I was gonna say, do they trigger if there's an accident, it sends a signal if there's
If we pay for the better package, yes.
Is there a break too on your insurance?
I was
for
fixing to
having
say,
some of
has anybody
those?
checked the insurance? Cause they typically will give you a break
Yes.
for stuff like this.
Yes. I've already talked to
And
them
that'll
about
be-
that. We do get a discount if we have the GPS trackers on there, if we go for the more expensive packet.
And what does that look like?
I think we'd be saving about 4,000 a year if we have it.
Wow, and so how much would that
Plus-
package cost?
And how much
Plus,
does the package cost?
Well, there's a couple of, in your packets, we have the information from the,
I looked at it and
One
I just don't
Step,
remember what they just said.
the One Step, the Track Your Truck. Of course, if we have the cameras right on the employee, that's going to be the saver on our current insurance. But I don't want to invade in the privacy of our employees, and I've repetitively told Chris and Gordon that. And our police department has, their body cams and whatnot that they should have on, while they're working, but just a tracker of where our vehicles are at, is what I'm asking for. So, and we're talking about an estimation of maybe $13 to $20 a unit, a vehicle for this, but it will save on our insurance. I think it'll help us. Like I said, I don't wanna overstep our employees and be watching their every little movement inside of the vehicle. I don't wanna do that to them.
So basically from what I'm seeing with these, it will save roughly 4,000 a month on our insurance. With the monthly startup costs and the fees, we'll basically break even. What we'll save in insurance is what we'll be paying out for the GPS.
Yes.
And that's for the most expensive one.
Yes.
I know that first one, I know doesn't have a contract as well, so if we
Which is
purchase it,
better.
we don't have a contract, but the other ones, I believe you have to have a contract.
Well, even if we have a contract, the contracts are 12 months. If we don't like it now, we can, review this again in 12 months, and it's not going to hurt us at all. Then we'll have a better, view of how much money we're saving. Does this benefit us? Is it helping us? If not, we can cancel it in 12 months. I would rather have a contract in case something happens. They can come and fix it, install, help us monitor it.
Especially if it's a company we're not really familiar with, because they can come and go.
It was a plug-in. It can be hardwired, but it's still up to us to hardwire it. They're not gonna send Tractor Truck, they will send support.
A technician.
They
Mhm.
will help with install. And kind of the same thing with Verizon.
My only concern with Verizon, just because I am a Verizon customer, the service is awful. I mean, it has been absolutely horrible here lately, so I'm like, are they gonna work? That's I don't know what signal they're running off of, if they're bouncing off everybody's towers, if it's, they're using fiber optics, if they're using, what they're using, and that's, would be my only concern, is that driving around here, I mean, I drop calls all day long back and forth to Elk City, there's like a couple spots in Altus, you go to Hobart, you don't use your phone at all, so that would be my only concern, if they're out and about, if it's even gonna track.
The salesman guaranteed that wasn't gonna happen, just saying.
Yeah, they also guarantee their service is the best
Just saying.
nationwide.
Well, I believe on the Track Your Truck, we've talked about we can add features, remove features. So like I said, I don't want the camera to be on the guys. So we can add and remove features with this one that we won't be stuck in this contract with.
Just like a caveat that I'm all for, you know, knowing where all the city vehicles are. There's only one thing that I just like to think about is if there's an additional camera in the vehicle and we're doing police sensitive stuff, then that could be an issue. Okay?
Is
Is
it
why I don't want cameras inside the vehicle. You guys
It's
have
just
body
gonna track where
cameras.
the vehicle goes, it's not
Yes.
audio, it's not
Yes.
video.
And like I said,
Mhm.
we can we can say, hey, in the superintendent's truck, we want the camera on, but not in the police vehicle.
Gotcha. That
this
will allow
will-
you to do that?
Yes, the Track Your Truck
Track your
has it to
truck.
where
It
we
did
can have,
a setup fee.
yes.
But I think that would be beneficial, knowing it's set up correctly, not just someone hardwiring it.
Right.
Sounds
That
good.
could
Right.
be done, but
I know my husband's state vehicles, they have
Mm-hmm.
GPSs on. And
Well,
it's beneficial for them because they work out, you know. But yes, it's very, very handy.
Mm-hmm.
It probably monitors his speed also, but
Mm-hmm.
And those, again, like the speed, you can monitor that, or we can turn on and off those features. So it just depends on what we
each
want.
feature you add.
Right.
It just,
And I'll sit down
And
with
you
Gordon
can do
and
that
Chris
on
and see
different
which is
ones.
best for our guys.
Sounds good.
Yeah, for our employees. And we're not doing it we're just doing it on, we said, yeah, well, Chris, of course, is always on call, so we're not gonna have anything in his, you know, but the other vehicles. So we've got vehicles, our police vehicles, especially right now that they're going out of town and they're not here. You know, there's just certain vehicles, we're not pinpointing on just the PD or just the parks.
Right.
Of course, we don't wanna monitor Chris's, he's always working, so he's always on call, so, you know, we wouldn't put anything in his. But just, you know, whatever, I mean, I think that this is the better one, the Track Your Truck, because we can remove and add the features on there as well. And they're going to be maintenance it better for us, I think.
Sounds good. All right. Do we have a motion for that?
I will make a motion to, well, this says, it's kind of worded here. I guess, to approve for you guys to review and approve bids. Is what the motion would be.
Motion to,
Approve and review, or review and approve bids for GPS.
so we're gonna approve the Track Your Truck bid.
That's the one that you think is best?
I believe so, Corey. If I decide to use a Verizon, do we need to bring this back up? Or
This
they've
is
just given
basically
us permission to
giving
go
you
ahead
guys
and say
permission
yes?
to- That's okay. That's
Okay.
why I was just gonna.
Because I'm going
accept
to.
the
Bid from the presented vendors. the
Yes,
best.
because I'm going to sit down with them again and our insurance agent as well.
So would you say make a motion to review and approve bids that we were presented? And that way they
To
can
move
pick the best
forward.
of what we were given? Corey, hello?
Yeah, that'll work.
Second.
Second. Yep, somebody.
Second,
Vote, please.
Huckabee,
yes.
Manasco,
Yes.
Peterson,
Yes.
Chapman.
Any staff or board remarks? Any new business? A motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Second.
Vote.
Huckabee,
Yes.
Manasco,
Yes.
Peterson?
Yes.